For the fourth straight year, Syracuse and Siena open up a season in the Carrier Dome. The Orange brings a revamped offense into the season, while the Saints return an experienced core. The 2017 lacrosse season starts right now on ACC Network Extra. Welcome inside the Carrier Dome, where fifth-ranked Syracuse hosts Siena. Alongside Conor Green, I'm Michael Tricarico, and Conor, these are two teams that are becoming very familiar with each other to begin seasons.
Yeah, the fourth time these two teams will meet to open the year. For Syracuse, it's a great chance to mesh together some of these new pieces, and for Siena, they get an opportunity to play one of the top contenders in the NCAA.
Well, Siena is led by a player that's a captain on this Saints team, and it's Jordan Barlow.
And Siena head coach John Speck talked about how he's such a leader for this team, a captain for the Saints, and great scorer as well as a great facilitator for the Siena team.
Barlow had 13 goals last year. On the other side, Syracuse is led by a captain themselves in Sergio Salcido.
Yes, Sergio Salcido, a great scorer, scored 29 goals for the Orange last season. Also a great facilitator, so crucial to the Syracuse team, and it's really crazy to believe that he was a walk-on coming into this team as a freshman.
Salcido certainly filled the role for Coach Desko. John Desko in his 19th season, 223 wins, 70 losses. Two-time ACC Coach of the Year, back-to-back years, the same 2 years that Syracuse has won the ACC championship. On the other side, John Speck in his 6th season at the helm for the Siena Saints, 38-39, the record for Speck, who played at Loyola, graduated in 2001. Syracuse and Siena almost set to get going. Alongside Conor Green, again, I am Michael Tricarico. Conor, what are the big keys that you're looking for in this one?
Well, in this game, you'll have to look at the face-off circle as being a crucial point in this one. Last season, in the season opener between these two teams, Syracuse beat Siena in face-offs 20-7. So if the Saints want to compete with the Orange here inside the Carrier Dome, they have to do a better job at the X in getting possessions after goals scored.
Syracuse is 5-0 against Siena. Again, this is the fourth straight year that these two teams are playing each other to begin the season, becoming somewhat of a February rivalry between these two teams. Last year, February 13th, Syracuse beat Siena 18-5. The Orange scored the first 10 goals of the game, led 10-1 at the half, and it was really all Orange from there. Dylan Donahue had 4 goals and 5 assists in that one, but he graduated. Donahue no longer here, so we'll see who can step up and take Donahue's role. Jordan Evans is the one that Coach Desko is looking for.
Yeah, Michael, that's a crucial point for Syracuse in this 2017 season. Who will replace Dylan Donahue, one of the better players in the history of this program, was so crucial for Syracuse last season? Who will step up for this Orange team and fill his shoes? And you mentioned it, Jordan Evans, somebody that played all the games last season for the first time in his tenure in Syracuse. Will he step up and be that leader on this Syracuse team?
Ben Williams and Tyler Pantalone, the two ready to take the face-off for these squads, as Aaron Lewis is set in goal for the Saints. Evan Malloy for the Orange. Williams, a second-team preseason All-American by U.S. Inside Lacrosse. Williams won 62% of his face-offs last year. Pantalone won 48% of the face-offs that he took. The Orange in the home white, Siena in the road yellow uniforms, and the Orange wins the first face-off, moving left to right.
And right there, Michael, that's a key matchup. Again, Syracuse can run Siena off the field if they can win the majority of the face-offs, and right here you see a turnover forced by the Saints.
So the face-off win goes for Knott as Siena's offense begins, an offense that last year averaged less than 9 goals per game, but Siena returns 4 of their 5 leading scorers from last year. That includes Chris Robertson, who led the Saints with 24 goals and 14 assists last year. Brian Prunty with the ball, guarded by Syracuse's Joe Gillis. The Orange defensively have Scott Furman along with Tyson Bomberry and Marcus Cunningham. Austin Fusco, who's a long stick midi, is in for the Orange along with Paolo Ciferi.
You see here, Michael, Syracuse not playing too aggressively on defense, and Siena trying to get the feel on offense, cycling the ball around the cage, trying to find an opening.
John Michael Tokar guarded by Safari. Just more than a minute into the first quarter. Syracuse's defense last year gave up just more than 8 goals per game, the 17th best scoring defense in the nation. Mike Riley, the sophomore, looks to work from X. He's guarded by Cunningham. That's a sophomore on sophomore matchup. Tim Cousin, a junior, spins away from traffic, takes a shot off target. And there's a race for the ball here on the near side. Cunningham wins it for the Orange. So Syracuse with a successful defensive stop. Now the Orange looks to clear. Last year, Syracuse cleared more than 90% of the time. That was 8th best in the nation. More than 2 minutes into this first quarter, and now we see the Syracuse offense officially for the first time.
And the question here for Syracuse this season is who will step up on the offensive end and be major contributors for Syracuse in the 2017 campaign. You lose Tim Barber, you lose Derek DeJoe and Dylan Donahue, so where will Syracuse get that offensive contributions after losing all of those seniors last year?
Well, the answer may lie in Brandon Bomberry, who just passed to Sergio Salcido. Bomberry, a transfer from Denver, led the nation with 11 man-up goals. He's now in the starting midfield. Here's Mariano, who's slid up to the starting attack as John Desko has looked for who can fill in on the attack, and Mariano tips it in off the pass from Salcido. Maybe not how the Orange drew up their first goal, but Salcido to Mariano, who just deflected it into the net, and the Orange is on the board first.
And right there, Michael, if you're Siena, you're coming in against a top 10 Syracuse team. They do a great job of cycling it around, but for Syracuse to score on a deflection like that, it's got to be a little bit deflating for Siena. They played well defensively and making sure that nobody got loose on the offensive end, but a bit of an odd deflection, and Syracuse gets on the board first.
Those are two names that Syracuse fans are sure to hear plenty of this season. Both played in the midfield last year. Salcido will stay in the midfield. Mariano has taken that third attack spot as Coach Desko just isn't ready to move any of the younger members of that attack up from a second line attack to the starting attack, and Syracuse will win face-off number 2.
You see Scott Furman there, Michael, with the ground ball pickup, taking the number 11 from Brandon Mullins last season. And, you know, we talked about how Syracuse had a lot of players graduate on the attack. Also had Brandon Mullins, a dominant defensive player, graduate as well. So Scott Furman's somebody that will look up and to try to step into his role.
Here's Mariano with the ball. We'll get a look at the second line midfield for Syracuse as Pat Carlin has checked in, and Syracuse trying to get the proper players on that second line midfield while Evans works away from pressure. Here's Mariano with a low shot and a save made by Lewis. First save for Aaron Lewis, the junior from Bayshore, New York. Appeared in just 5 games last year, 36% save percentage. Here comes Siena on the clear as Keenan Cook, the sophomore, brings it into the box.
And Siena, a great team at clearing the ball last season, cleared it at a percentage of 91%. That was 3rd in the NCAA.
Siena had a 3-10 record, so as far as NCAA rankings go for stats, the Saints weren't up there in too many categories, but clear percentage, like you mentioned, is 1. And here's a goal for Eric Munn. The sophomore from Canandaigua, New York, ties the game.
Eric Munn on the MAC All-Rookie team last year, and you see Syracuse loses him defensively. Munn gets a one-on-one look with Evan Malloy in net, and for Malloy, that's just going to be tough to stop no matter who it is, and Munn capitalizes.
So Siena with the quick response off the Syracuse goal. No deflection needed for the Saints. Williams and Pantalone at the face-off X, right on top of that block S. .50-50 ball, so important in lacrosse. 5 players for each team, still scrambling for it. And Jordan Evans wins it for the Orange. That's that senior leadership, winning those 50-50 balls that Coach Desko is asking Jordan Evans to take this year.
And with Evans, over his 4 years here at the program, we've seen flashes of brilliance from him when he's shown his potential. The problem at times has been consistency. If he can put together a season where he's able to be consistent on a game-to-game basis and limit his turnovers, he'll be so critical to the Syracuse team.
Salcido shot just wide. Back up by Nick Mariano. Here's Matt Lane, can't give him space, bounces it wide. Syracuse with Jordan Evans on the backup.
And you mentioned you can't give him space. That's got to be one of the most intimidating looks in all of lacrosse. It's 6'7", a one-on-one shot from Matt Lane.
Lane was part of Syracuse's man-up unit last year and part of the second-line midfield. Last year, Lane scored 8 goals, picked up 6 assists in 14 games played. Bomberry cuts in front, and he scores off the pass from Evans. Now, we talked about Brandon Bomberry being a man-up threat, but he also can slice in. An excellent pass from Evans, and Bomberry stuck it.
You see it right there, Michael. That's what makes him so effective on the man-up. But even in standard play, when he's able to cut inside, he's always able to find open spaces on the field. Right there, cuts right in front of the net. A great pass, and Bomberry finishes for Syracuse.
So Syracuse with the response, and back and forth we go inside the Carrier Dome to begin the 2017 season. Williams and Pantalone back at the face-off X. And a procedure call against Williams gives the ball to Siena. More than 5 minutes into this first quarter, Syracuse with the 1-goal lead. Siena looking to tie.
And Michael, if you're Siena, you want to slow it down a bit. With Syracuse, how talented they are, you want to make sure they don't get an opportunity to start reeling off goal after goal. Slow things down and try to find good opportunities on the offensive end to limit what Syracuse can do on the offensive side.
Siena working the ball around the outside of Syracuse's zone defense. Munn with the ball, has the lone goal for the Saints today. Here's Robertson. He's someone that head coach John Sveck called the quarterback of this Siena offense. Barlow with the ball and gives to Cook, a sophomore. Luke Schwaznick guarding, one of the short stick defensive middies for the Orange. And this ball's popped free. Tyson Bomberry, the sophomore, poked it loose and scooped up the loose ball for the Orange.
The Bomberry cousins paying the benefit here in the first quarter of play. You see a goal from Brendan Bomberry, and right there Tyson Bomberry forcing a big turnover on the defensive side.
So Syracuse into the box. Solomon gives to Mariano. It's a Syracuse attack that has 2 seniors in Jordan Evans and Nick Mariano, and then the sophomore and Nate Solomon. Solomon, an Alpharetta, Georgia native, scored 8 goals and 2 assists last year. He really burst onto the scene, especially in the ACC tournament, which was down in Kennesaw, Georgia, not too far from his hometown.
Yeah, and he did a great job in that tournament. And for Syracuse, is he one of those guys that will step up for them on the offensive attack? Again, they're missing so many players from last season. You're looking to guys like Nate Solomon, as well as some others, to step up on the attack for the Syracuse team.
Some room for Peter Dirth, his shot off the crossbar. Solomon comes down with it for the Orange. Dirth part of the third-line midfield, but he's a guy who can get some run with the second-line middies. More than midway through the first quarter, Syracuse with a 1-goal lead, looking to add to it. Evans rips, and he scores! Jordan Evans with his first goal this season. That to go along with an assist, and the Orange is up by 2.
Jordan Evans right there getting some space straight away, and you see what he can do when you give him a little bit of room on the offensive end. Fires a perfect shot over the top right shoulder of Lewis. And again, with Jordan Evans, he's somebody that was a great goal scorer last season and capitalizes there for the Orange.
27 goals last year. Evans scored in 16 of SU's 17 games last year. The only game that Evans didn't score in was the quarterfinal loss in the NCAA tournament to Maryland. Syracuse wins this face-off, so chalk one more up for Ben Williams, as Dylan Pantalone was the one who took the face-off for Siena that time.
And Michael, going back to Jordan Evans, he mentioned earlier this week, this is his senior season, and he's now trying to roll in together in his play some of the things he's learned from Kevin Rice as well as Dylan Donahue. He's in his senior season. He was the #1 recruit coming in as a freshman. Again, it's been a little bit tough for him to put it all together, but as he enters his senior season, trying to roll in those two talented guys and what he's learned from them over his 4 years.
The Orange had an opportunity in front. Evans's pass for Mariano just a little low. So here come the Saints. Siena's lone goal came from Eric Munn, 23 in yellow. Part of the second line midfield for the Saints, but he can also again run with that top line. Here's John Michael Tokar, a senior from Big Flats, New York. 4 goals, 9 assists last year. Syracuse looking to get the correct defensive alignment out there. Orange can run with a few different options at short stick, D-midi. Joe Gillis, one of those, along with Paolo Seferi. Luke Schwaznik we saw on SU's last possession. Pass inside, shot to goal, Jordan Barlow. As the Saints catch the Orange sleeping.
And there's Barlow, the captain on this team, the senior, finding some space inside. Again, 13 goals on the season last year, and the Orange lose him a bit on defense. He sneaks inside and gets a good look between the legs of Evan Malone.
John Michael Tokar gets the assist and just lull the defense to sleep. And Tokar again had 9 assists last year, and he picks up his first. A beauty of a pass through the Syracuse defense.
And a captain-to-captain look. Tokar, a captain in his senior season, as well as Barlow.
5:17 left first quarter. Syracuse with the 1-goal lead. Ben Williams, Dylan Pantalone at the face-off act. Dylan Pantalone, related to Tyler Pantalone. Both will take face-offs for the Saints as Evans is shot off the mark. Ball still loose on the ground. Nobody in net right now for the Saints. And Evans comes away with it for the Orange.
Evans really quickly in that offensive possession just tried to rip one with Lewis, maybe not ready for that shot. A very quick possession there for Evans, but they pick up the shot and re-corral possession.
Syracuse with its first line attack and midfield. Here's Matt Lane, the 6'6" redshirt junior, as Syracuse sends it home. A 2-goal lead for the Orange as Brad Voigt gets the goal.
Another great cutter from Syracuse. Voigt runs inside. Great feed from Matt Lane. You might think he's 6'7", maybe not a great facilitator, but he puts it right in the stick of Brad Voigt, and he finishes for the Orange.
So Brad Voigt comes in, and he gets his first goal of the season. In fact, that's Voigt's first career goal. Played sparingly last year through 9 games, had 2 assists, and now has his first career goal. 4.5 to play first quarter. Syracuse leads by 2. Face-off won by the Saints. Arcaris came away with it. The defenseman for Siena looks to evade pressure from the Orange. Shot and a goal. That didn't take long. And Siena, within 20 seconds, cuts that 2-goal Syracuse lead down to 1.
And right there, Michael, that's just a fantastic job by Joe Arcaris He picks up the ball, does it all himself, runs inside, and a great backhanded shot as he's diving in front of the cage. Evan Malloy, a really tough attempt to try to block that one in front. Just a really athletic play by Arcariz.
Arcariz did score a goal last year. He's made the preseason All-Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference team. Known more for his defense, but occasionally he can get an opportunity on the offensive end, and picked up the ground ball off the face-off and worked all the way to the goal. Procedure call against Siena, so Syracuse ball. 5th face-off win for Williams in 8 tries.
But early on here, Siena is doing a good job in face-offs of not letting Ben Williams just completely dominate. Right now, Syracuse with an advantage, but it's only 5-3. Compare that to last year where Syracuse completely dominated. Right now, Siena will take what they're getting at the face-off X.
John Speck said one of the keys for his team in this game is going to be to try and keep it as close to 50-50 at the face-off X as they could. And right now, it's fairly close, or at least as close as you could hope if you're Siena.
And it might be tough to keep it to 50-50, but even if Ben Williams gets it to like 55-45, as long as he doesn't dominate, you'll be okay.
And Nate Solomon gets it in for the Orange. Solomon worked right from behind. No one picked him up for the Saints, and the Orange is back up by 2.
The youngster Solomon gets the ball there and just curls around the cage, shoots it up top, and puts it in really the only place that Lewis wouldn't be able to get to it. Top right corner of the cage, a great shot from the sophomore Solomon.
So that's back-to-back goals for Syracuse's sophomore class. Voigt, then Solomon. And you can see why John Desko is excited about those 2 players. And Syracuse puts up a 5 spot, still with 3.5 to play in this first quarter. Williams with the easy clamp on this one. Off to Evans, in front Solomon, no look shot, and it's good! 2 goals in 6 seconds for Nate Solomon, and the Orange has its largest lead of the game, 6-3.
On that one, Michael, you see Jordan Evans gets it on the far side. Maybe in his previous 3 seasons, he would rip that shot. Instead, feeds it in front. Great pass from the senior, and Solomon finishes it off.
It all started with the face-off win for Ben Williams, Solomon's 2nd goal, and Syracuse has a 3-goal lead heading into the break.
It's not about us anymore. It's about a future.
The Walking Dead returns tomorrow night at 9.
To achieve financial security, there are 2 halves to consider: protect and grow. Instead of focusing on insurance or investments alone, we bring them together into one whole picture. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently.
Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Did you possibly switch chairs with me?
No, not me.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Good luck finding your chair, LeBron.
Okay. Okay.
Last year, Nate Solomon had 8 goals in 15 games. Today, 2 goals in a span of 6 seconds.
Yeah, so he's stepping up here in place of some of the graduating seniors for this Syracuse team. And again, with John Desko and this team, it was who would step up in place of guys like Derek DeJoe, Dylan Donahue, and Tim Barber. Right now, Nate Solomon looking really effective on the offensive end, finding some space, getting great passes. You just saw one there from Jordan Evans, but Solomon finishing it off inside the net.
So often, hotbeds of college lacrosse, you talk about Central New York, Long Island, and the Maryland area. Well, Solomon is from Alpharetta, Georgia, and Syracuse has begun to expand where it's recruiting. Solomon's from Georgia. Sergio Salcido, who a preseason first-team All-American, is from Winter Park, Florida.
And you mentioned that last year they had Brandon Mullins from Texas, so lacrosse is becoming more of a national sport. And if you want to be a major competitor in the scene today, you really have to start recruiting from all over the country. John Desko understands that, and that's why you see some guys from outside where Syracuse is normally used to recruiting.
31 players from the state of New York, but Syracuse expands all the way to California, still from Texas, Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan, Georgia, Florida, and then all along the Northeast as well. 6-3 Orange with the lead over the Saints. Ben Williams has won 5 of 8 faceoffs, but the Saints come away with this one. Pressure defense from Syracuse off the faceoff win. Mike Riley, the sophomore, evades the pressure, and now the Saints can work in their offensive end. Here's Jordan Barlow with the goal. Plays catch with Chris Robertson behind the net.
Right now, Siena just needs to calm down a little bit. You know, Syracuse is up by 3 goals, but they're in a much better spot than they were last year, where the Orange was on top 10-1 at the half and scored the first 10 goals of the contest. So for Siena, down by 3, but right now slow things down, take your time, and try to find the best possible shot on the offensive side.
Tim Cousin working his way against Marcus Cunningham. The Orange has done a solid job defensively one-on-one, not allowing the Saints to dodge past the first defender. Double team comes, Tokar spins away from it. Shot blocked away by Malloy, loose behind the net. Evan Malloy leaving his cage, and the ball's picked up by Furman.
Second time we've seen Furman with a great ground ball scoop up. Just picks it up for Syracuse under pressure, and the Orange clearing it down the field.
Furman, a local product from Fayetteville, New York, went to Jamesville DeWitt High School, the same high school as Jordan Evans. Less than 2 to play first quarter. Syracuse leads by 3. Evans, Solomon, Mariano on attack. Bomberry, Lane, and Salcido in the midfield. Here's Lane as Cousin goes to the ground. Some space for Lane, and the shot backed up by Mariano, rather.
And for Lane, he's so big, such a powerful shot, but it comes down to control for him when he lets it fly.
Bomberry's shot saved by Lewis. A little extracurricular action between Bomberry and Devin Voda. Bomberry comes to the sideline as Pat Carlin comes in. Carlin, a redshirt sophomore from Vestal, New York, scored 3 goals last year, played in 13 games. Less than a minute to play, another shot goes wide. Solomon on the backup.
One of the rare times you'll see Sergio Salcido get an open look at the net and slightly miss. Scored 29 goals last season. Usually a marksman there, just a little bit off on his shot.
Salcido rips this time. Low save made by Lewis.
And that time Salcido right on target, but a fantastic save by Lewis to get down to the ground and block it with his stick. You see him take that shot from a sidearm angle. A bit tough to identify if you're Lewis, but a fantastic save. 4th save made by Lewis today as Syracuse causes the turnover. Here comes Marcus Cunningham. 28 seconds, pass behind Carlin. One of those 50-50 balls. And Solomon comes away with it for the Orange. 15 seconds left in the quarter. The Orange up by 3, looking to extend. Mariano with it. Guarded by Cousin, pass in front, shot, a goal! Nate Solomon has a hat trick! The freshman has scored 3 goals in the last 3.5 minutes.
And the sophomore has SU up by 4.
And if you're Siena, you enter, you're thinking about how do we guard Jordan Evans, how do we guard Nick Mariano. You don't really think about Nate Solomon because he only scored 8 goals last season, but right now he's doing a great job of finding the open spots, and Siena is just losing him a bit right in front of the cage. Already a hat trick for the sophomore in the first quarter.
Syracuse up by 4 with just more than 6 seconds left until the end of the quarter. Williams has won 6 of 10 faceoffs. Clock runs as Williams jousts for this one and collects it. Shot towards goal is off the mark, and that ends the first quarter. Syracuse with 3 straight goals, and the Orange leads by 4 as we end the first quarter.
Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Did you possibly switch chairs with me?
No, not me.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Good luck finding your chair, LeBron.
Okay. Okay.
To achieve financial security, there are 2 halves to consider: protect and grow. Instead of focusing on insurance or investments alone, we bring them together into one whole picture. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently.
Anthony Davis is one of the top blockers in the NBA, so he was a perfect fit for the IT department.
Block. Anthony, it's just my blog.
Is your blog business related?
No.
There you go.
Can't stop me from using my phone.
Nothing gets past that guy.
I can still play solitaire.
No, you can't.
KD's back in OKC to take on Russell Westbrook. This is gonna be crazy. Turn down for KD versus Russ. Turn down for KD's return to OKC tonight on ABC. KD's back in OKC to take on Russell Westbrook. This is gonna be crazy. Turn down for KD versus Russ. Turn down for Ben Jackson. Turn down for KD's return to OKC. Warriors, Thunder, tonight on ABC.
It might be the greatest lacrosse program of all time. Syracuse with 11 national championships, the most recent one coming in 2009. This begins the 2nd century of lacrosse for Syracuse. Last year was the 100th year, and this year marks year 101.
You mentioned the national championships. They have 5 under the John Desko era. But for Syracuse, of late, it's been a little bit more difficult than they've been accustomed to. 7 out of the last 8 years, they haven't made it past the NCAA tournament quarterfinals. But again, they've been knocking on the door basically in each of those 8 years.
Alongside Conor Green, I'm Michael Tricarico. SU with a 4-goal lead, and Ben Williams wins his 7th faceoff of the evening. Syracuse led by Nate Solomon, who has a career-high 3 goals. Made his first career start today, and Solomon certainly hasn't disappointed. Part of the first-line attack along with Jordan Evans and Nick Mariano. Here's Salcido. Last year, the redshirt senior had 29 goals and 24 assists. USILA preseason first-team All-American this year. Now Matt Lane cradles for the Orange. Nick Mariano has a goal and an assist today, and he loses the ball out of bounds. Here's a late hit, and that pulls a flag out. Mariano walking up to Aaron Lewis, some extracurricular activity. And Mariano clearly displeased with the hit Lewis put on him, and this flag, in all likelihood, will go against Lewis. Let's take a look.
It was a good takeaway on the defensive side, but then Lewis just sees a chance to catch Mariano off guard. Of course, you can't do that. He gets him right under the chin, and then the two have some words for each other after the play.
Well, it would have been Siena ball. Instead, possession will go to Syracuse. Not just that, the Saints have to pull Lewis to the sideline because he's the one that committed the penalty and put in their backup goalie, Gage Ponsetti, into the game. He's only a freshman.
And that's something that'll drive John Speck crazy because you're about to take over possession. You're trailing by 4 goals, but a bit of a mental mistake in net by Aaron Lewis, and then Syracuse now gets the ball with a chance to score once again.
Maybe not how Gage Ponsetti imagined his career starting. Voigt shot saved away by Ponsetti. So the freshman comes up huge for the Saints. Bomberry picked up the ball, and a timeout, Syracuse.
And you see how that energizes the Siena bench right there. Ponsetti comes in and makes a huge save.
13:39 left in the second quarter. It'll be Syracuse ball out of the SU timeout, with the Orange leading by 4 over the Saints.
It's not about us anymore. It's about a future.
The Walking Dead returns tomorrow night at 9.
To achieve financial security, there are 2 halves to consider: protect and grow. Instead of focusing on insurance or investments alone, we bring them together into one whole picture. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently.
Syracuse with a 4-goal lead. The Orange ranked 6th in the country. Siena unranked, and Syracuse out to an early lead. And the Orange a man up with possession of the ball. Brendan Bomberry, one player to look for right in the middle of that Siena defense, led the nation with 11 man-up goals last year. Here's Nick Mariano, and he rips it home. Well, Mariano was the one that was knocked down by Aaron Lewis. That caused the penalty, and Mariano's the one who makes the Saints pay for it.
So he gets knocked down, then finds space on the offensive end. Once again, Syracuse doing a great job of cycling it around the offensive end. Mariano gets his space, fires the shot, and connects. He's now got 2 goals on the game, and this comes after a season where he led Syracuse with 35 goals, and that includes 7 games of more than 3 goals or more last season.
Serge Salcido gets the assist. That's his 2nd of the game. Ben Williams, Tyler Pantalone at the faceoff X. Syracuse 8 for 12 on faceoffs today, and Williams chalks one more up in the Orange's column. Just less than 2 minutes into the second quarter, Syracuse with the 5-goal lead. Salcido catches the outlet pass and clears the ball for the Orange. Here's Jordan Evans, already a goal and 2 assists for the senior from right here in Syracuse. Bomberry has a goal as well. He's guarded by Devin Boda. Some space for Evans, turned away by the post. Ball caroms towards midfield where it's picked up by Arcaris. The senior defenseman does have a goal today, and this pass goes wide. Syracuse with another opportunity to clear, and certainly not what John Speck wants from his team. You get the defensive stop. Even if the ball hits the post, you got to take what you can get, and then you turn it right over.
And Siena generally a great clearing team, but they're unable to get it up into the offensive end. And so on back-to-back possessions, or for Siena, they have a mental mistake by the goaltender Lewis, and then not able to clear it after getting the ball on the offensive end, not able to sustain a possession as Syracuse then takes over.
The Orange offensively is churning. 8 goals. Syracuse led by Nate Solomon, who has 3. All 3 of those came in the last 3:39 of the first quarter. Salcido with space, his shot wide. Evans on the backup for SU.
And right now, Michael, Siena seems to be content with just laying off Syracuse. The issue with that is they have so many playmakers that they're able to find those open spaces when you give them time. If you're Siena, maybe put a little bit more pressure on these goal scorers and try to force some mistakes from the Syracuse end.
Mariano works from behind, guarded by Jack Tuhig. Some space for Mariano, save made, and a behind the back shot off the rebound. Brendan Bomberry, are you kidding?
What an unbelievable play by the Denver transfer. He gets it off the rebound, and then the behind the back shot. Take a look here on the replay. Mariano rips the shot, the save made, but Bomberry with a fantastic play, and he gets a standing ovation here inside the dome on a fantastic goal by the transfer.
The Ontario native transferred from Denver, and oh boy, do all the Syracuse fans right now inside the Carrier Dome appreciate that Bomberry made the transfer to Syracuse. The reason for that transfer, actually for family reasons, Bomberry has a kid, so he transferred to Syracuse in order to be closer to his family, in order to help father his child, and well, he can also play some lacrosse as well. And
if you're John Desko, you're saying, yeah, I think right there, that's why we went out and tried to get that guy to come to our program.
Syracuse with an emphatic 6-goal lead over Siena.
Michael, you see where Syracuse can be so effective. Siena was hanging in there, playing tough defensively, performing well at the face-off X, but when Ben Williams starts to get going, now they have a 6 advantage at the face-off X, 10 compared to 4 for Siena. They win those face-offs. They're so prolific on offense, it could be overwhelming for opposing defense.
Second line midfield into the game for Syracuse. Wild pass, Arcaris with another ground ball pickup. That's his 3rd of the game. So the Saints with a rare opportunity on offense here in the second quarter. Syracuse has dominated time of possession in the second frame. We'll see what the Saints do. Speck, more of a defensive coach. He's given the offensive responsibilities to Rob Cross, who's in his 4th season. A lot of Speck's mentality, at least what he learned offensively, has come from Scott Marr, the Albany coach. Speck was an assistant under Marr for a couple of years before becoming the head coach at Siena. More than 5 minutes into this second quarter, the Saints still looking for their first goal of this frame.
And you mentioned John Speck. He's a 2-time MAC Coach of the Year.
Save made by Malloy. Crease violation anyway, so Syracuse gets possession. Eric Munn had an opening inside, just couldn't finish.
Regardless of the crease violation, a great play made there by Evan Malloy, and he was so fantastic for Syracuse in net last season. He made 9 starts for Syracuse, and the Orange won 7 of those contests. Such an athletic goaltender in net for Syracuse.
So SU with another offensive possession. Salcido, Lane, and Ryan Simmons in the midfield for the Orange. Voigt, Solomon, and Mariano on attack. Here's Simmons, guarded by Munn, shot wide, race to the end line, and it is won by the Saints. Nice hustle shown by Jack Tuhig. the sophomore from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Clear attempt for the Saints. Siena 3 for 3 on clear attempts today. Munn brings the ball towards the box, still not in yet. The clock has started. Siena still has not successfully cleared the ball. Could turn into a turnover if they don't get it in the box. And they do not. And Speck disappointed with Munn for not just touching it in. Here comes Syracuse. Bomberry's shot rips wide. That's Tyson Bomberry. Not sure if he's going to be able to one-up his cousin Brendan, but at least try to get a goal.
Yeah, he's thinking, you know what, I can score too. I can get in the action a little bit. They're maybe a little bit overzealous, just shooting it over the top of the key.
Here's Evans, guarded by Ryan Gaderi, the senior 6'1", 190-pound defenseman from Ridgewood, New Jersey. Midway through the second quarter, Salcido, guarded by Arcaris. Pass in front, Voigt, nifty catch, can't finish, save made by Lewis. Syracuse still with possession, Bomberry turned away this time. Here comes Siena, Devin Voda across midfield. And into the box for Robertson. Lots of subs moving in and out for both the Saints and the Orange. 7 minutes to play, second quarter. SU with a 6-goal lead. The Saints haven't scored since the 4:18 mark of the first quarter. So nearly a 13-minute scoring drought for Siena. Robertson, quarterbacks from behind. Pass couldn't be caught. O'Loughlin lost it, and here comes Syracuse. Bomberry across midfield. Austin Fusco into the box as Brad Voigt works it out for the Orange. Syracuse in no hurry, looking to get the correct matchups onto the field. Pat Carlin, the redshirt sophomore, guarded by Nick Matselevich. There is a flag on the turf away from the ball, so a free possession for Syracuse. The Orange is either going to get a goal here or be up a man. Ball hits the turf. Girth was looking to catch the pass. He gets it now with less than 6 to play.
Girth there has an opening, but the freshman may be a little bit too quick on the trigger, trying to catch and shoot a little bit too quickly, and there the ball just comes loose from his stick.
Girth gets to Carlin. 5.5 to play. Shot save made by Lewis. And now Syracuse set to go on the man up. We'll see exactly what the penalty is. So Syracuse brings up the man up unit. Syracuse 47% on the extra man last year. The 9th best man up offense in the country. Mike Vitale called for the penalty, an illegal procedure. Only 30 seconds on the man up. Syracuse 1 for 1 on EMOs today. This pass tipped onto the turf, scooped up by Salcido. Time and space inside. Bomberry doesn't finish, and a crease violation. Beauty of a pass from Mariano. But Bomberry was turned away. Almost thought Mariano was going to take the shot. Instead, he elected to pass, and Bomberry just couldn't collect it.
Lewis really being tested here in the first half of play. A couple of great saves made in a row, and there gets great positioning against Bomberry, who's normally prolific on the man-up opportunities.
So Syracuse's lead sits at 6, less than 5 to play. The penalties released, so both teams at even strength. What do you need to see from Siena offensively to try and break the scoring drought that they're in? It's approaching a full quarter of play.
You know, to a certain extent, they're trying to really take their time and find those open shots, but you also just want to see them as a unit just start putting more shots on net. You see right now, Syracuse 28 shots compared to just 6 from Siena. They're maybe being a little picky and choosy in terms of their opportunities. Just put it on net and see if something happens in front.
Some good ball movement for the Saints, but they just haven't been able to find an open shot until now. O'Loughlin's shot backed up by Robertson.
And while that shot is not the perfect shot, at least you get it in front of the net. Of course, he misses, but you get it in front, and see if maybe it gets deflected, or if Evan Malloy loses it, his vision sight while he's standing in net. Maybe something like that happens, but just try to put it on net and see if you can get a scoring chance.
Robertson shot saved by Malloy. Malloy with now 3 saves for the Orange. Long outlet pass for Sergio Salcido. Well caught into the box. Salcido with space to the middle, all the way to the net. Shot deflected, still loose on the ground in front of the goal. Scooped up by Salcido, and Evans sends it home. Off the unsettled situation, Salcido has the assist, his 3rd of the game. Evans with his 2nd goal.
Michael, you see right there, Sergio Salcido and his quickness running inside. Takes a shot initially, but a good save made by Lewis. As the ball attempts to get picked up by Lewis, again it's Salcido that corrals, using his quickness and his precision passing to feed it in front right to Jordan Evans, and a good finish from the senior.
And John Speck takes a timeout. Syracuse leads 10-3 as the Saints have gone more than 15 minutes without a goal. And it didn't start like last year's game did, but it's turning into the type of score last year's game was.
Yeah, and Syracuse, the way that they play, they can snowball games out of control if you let them, with Ben Williams at the face-off X, as we see once again on the replay. As Salcido took that shot, ball comes loose. If you're Siena, those loose balls so crucial because Syracuse can capitalize very, very quickly, and Salcido, as talented as he is, feeding it in front to Jordan Evans. But going back to your point before, again, Syracuse, with how successful they can be at the face-off X, you have Ben Williams, who's won 10 already. They can score, get the ball back, and score once again. And for Siena, if you have a big drought where you're not able to get on the board, it can be very difficult against a team with the talent level of Syracuse. But again, Siena, they just want to fine-tune some of the problems that they had last season, where they went 3-10. John Speck trying to figure out the solution to some of those problems. And early on here, Syracuse is giving them a test. And for the Siena team, some of the teams that they'll play on their schedule, obviously not to the caliber of Syracuse, so they can use this one as a testing grounds to figure out how they can compete with some of the top teams in the country.
And that's exactly pretty much what John Speck said. He said, look, we're more talented than we have been in the past. We're deeper, and while we expect to win every game we play, what Speck said is this game will at least give us that measuring stick of where are we. This is the Siena team that certainly returns a lot of pieces from last year's team, but still is looking to find themselves, and it's tough to begin a season with a ranked team, and that's exactly what Siena's done. They have always tested themselves early on, and it's tough to start out with a top 10 Syracuse team.
You mentioned, John Speck has scheduled a ranked opponent in 7 of the last 9 years. So this is what they like to do because, again, you said it, they like to treat this game as a testing grounds, as a measuring stick for how they'll, fare against some of the teams, the top tier teams in the nation. So for John Speck, again, it's a time where they can come together and try to figure out what they can do well, what they don't do well. And what Syracuse will do is they'll accentuate those positives and negatives. So you'll really see what you do well and what you don't do well moving forward the rest of the season.
Here comes Syracuse off the face-off win. Evans to Solomon, and it's in. Tic-tac-toe. Williams to Schwasnick. Evans to Solomon. And then it hit the back of the net, and SU is up by 8.
And Michael, right there, lightning quick. Touch passing all around, gives it to Jordan Evans. He feeds it in front, and another great shot from Nate Solomon. Give him 4 goals now on the game. That's half of his total from all of last season. So emerging here as a player that can be a force for Syracuse on the attack.
Jordan Evans with 2 goals, 3 assists, ties a career high for points for Evans. Give Evans a career high in assists with 3. And Syracuse has broken this game open, up by 8.
And we were talking about it before, Michael. Who would replace Dylan Donahue, a player that was such a great facilitator? Right now, you're seeing Jordan Evans step into that role. Obviously, it's the first game of the season, and it'll be more difficult as the year progresses. But Jordan Evans already with 3 assists, and if he can step into that facilitator role, it'll be so big for Syracuse in this season.
Less than 3 to play until the half, and the Orange in full control. Siena has not scored since the 4:18 mark of quarter number 1. 31 shots for Syracuse compared to just 8 for Siena, and it's tough to score when you don't have the ball. Credit Ben Williams for winning 12 of the 16 faceoffs for the Orange.
Yeah, early on, Siena was keeping it close at the face-off X, but since then, Ben Williams has used his dominance there to allow Syracuse to pull away. You mentioned it, you just can't compete when you don't have the ball, and that's what Ben Williams can do so effectively, winning 62% of his face-offs last season. One of the reasons that Syracuse can be so effective, all season long.
Pat Carlin cradles near midfield for the Orange. He begins a run. Here's Jordan Evans. He has been the quarterback for Syracuse today. Stephen Rufus, one of a couple of transfers that the Orange has been able to pull in this season. Haven't seen a shot clock on call come yet today. You wonder if you might see it towards the end of this half. Here's Carlin. He rips. Save made by Lewis. An athletic save for the junior. That's his 12th save of the game.
Yeah, and Syracuse has 11 goals, but Lewis has really been effective in net, making some big saves. You see one right there, a rocket shot from outside, but Lewis gets low to the ground, makes a great save, and now you see him running all the way down the field, Mark.
He's not afraid to go. And now he'll take the long jog all the way back towards the net. Less than a minute to play until the half. We'll see what the Saints can do. It's been 18 minutes since Siena's gotten its last goal. Syracuse looking to shut out the Saints here in the second quarter after allowing 3 in the first.
Yeah, and Siena being very passive here on offense. Again, trying to work it around and find those open shots. You don't want to take bad shots and let Syracuse get the ball right back, but you don't want to be overly passive and give up on open opportunity.
John Michael Tokar, shot saved by Malloy. Loose on the ground. The Orange has 10 seconds. Malloy with a long outlet pass up ahead. Here comes Syracuse with 5. Hutchings into the box. Fusco shot save. And that ends the half. The Orange had an opportunity. Fusco got a look at it. But another save from Aaron Lewis keeps the Orange's lead at 8. 11-3 Syracuse into the halftime break on ACC Network Extra. Syracuse with an 8-goal lead over Siena. The Orange defense held the Saints scoreless in the second quarter. It's been nearly 19 minutes since Siena scored its last goal, and the Syracuse offense really rolling in that second quarter. Alongside Conor Green, I'm Michael Tricarico. And Conor, what changed for SU's offense?
Well, for Syracuse, it came down to Ben Williams having success at the face-off X. They really ran ahead in that, 12-4 right now in that category. When Syracuse was able to get the ball, keep possession, they then slowed things down on offense.
Syracuse led by the quarterback Jordan Evans. He has 2 goals to go along with 3 assists. And Syracuse really getting it from all over. Brad Boyd with the goal. Siena got a goal from their defenseman, but again, one of just 3 goals, all of them coming in the first quarter.
You mentioned Syracuse getting it from all over. We see Nate Solomon with 4 goals in the first half of play. That's half of his entire total from the 2016 season. So right now he's emerging as a bit of a breakout star here for the Orange.
And then Brendan Bomberry with the highlight of the first half, a behind-the-back goal off of the rebound, and that was Solomon's 4th goal. The Orange controlling all aspects of the game. You mentioned it. It starts with face-offs. The Orange has gotten more shots, and it's led to more goals.
Yeah, and Syracuse right now doing a fantastic job in all categories.
To achieve financial security, there are 2 halves to consider: protect and grow. Instead of focusing on insurance or investments alone, we bring them together into one whole picture. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently.
Okay, people, I'm sure you've gotten the memo by now that we are switching things up for the 6 p.m. Eastern Sports Center. It is a new day, right, Jay?
Mm-hmm. And this team, all of you, is the reason why.
This pleases me, yes. Now, granted, we're still the stars as people who spent years in the business as co-hosts of the wildly successful show His and Hers, but for this new venture, it's about all of us.
Preach. Yep. So welcome to the 6.
Right.
Spurs, Knicks, tomorrow on ABC.
OJ Made in America is the most decorated documentary of the year.
It was all so much bigger than we were.
Exceptional, a movie so compelling you want it never to end. A magnum opus of race, class, ambition, and rage. The best documentary of the year. And now it's an Academy Award nominee for Best Documentary Feature.
There's no more powerful a narrative in American society than that of race.
OJ Made in America, Sunday night at 8 p.m. on ESPN2.
Hey, Draymond.
Hey, morning.
Hey, what's up?
Spurs, Knicks, tomorrow on ABC.
Inside the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, the Orange leads the Saints by 8 as we are ready to start the second half. Alongside Conor Green, I'm Michael Tricarico. Syracuse, the defense held Siena scoreless in the second quarter. What needs to change for the Saints? What was John Speck's message at the halftime break?
Well, I think for the Saints, they just need to be more aggressive on the attack. They've been a little bit too passive in getting the ball around in the offensive end, and that's what you want to a certain extent. You don't want to take bad shots, but for the Saints, they're going to have a tough time finding wide open opportunities. So sometimes they just need to try to throw the ball in front of the net, see what happens, put shots on goal, and test Evan Malloy, make him make some plays in net for the Orange.
Lots of smiles for the Syracuse players. Nate Solomon leads all scores with 4 goals as John Desko looks on, and the first face-off set to take place to begin the third quarter. Ben Williams has won 12 of 16 face-offs for Syracuse as Tyler Pantalone is at the face-off X for the Saints, and Williams wins this one. Williams has been relentless at the face-off X, and he's allowed Syracuse to control possession. Williams won every face-off of the second quarter, but Syracuse turned it over.
And Michael, Williams can really just wear you down at the face-off X because Siena really played fairly cleanly in the first half of play, but when Syracuse is able to score goals, you have Ben Williams out there to pick up, face-off after face-off, and you're just constantly on your toes on defense, on your heels. And for Syracuse, they're able to then capitalize because they have so many playmakers on the attack.
Well, Siena's offense hasn't scored since the 4:18 mark of quarter number 1. Evan Malloy has made 4 saves in goal for Syracuse, and the Orange defense just hasn't allowed the Saints to get many quality shots. Siena led by Jordan Barlow and Eric Munn, who both have a goal. Joe Arcaris has a goal, but he's a defenseman, so not likely that you see him taking any more shots for the Saints this afternoon. Here's Barlow, guarded by Marcus Cunningham. The Saints with Barlow, Robertson, and Riley on the attack. Prunty, Cousin, and Tokar in the midfield. Here's Brian Prunty, a junior midfielder. Works his way around, shot off the post, and the loose ball pickup by Tyson Bomberry.
And Michael Prunty was very quiet in the first half of play. Did not register a goal or an assist. Obviously, Siena only scored 3 goals in total, but Prunty, somebody that was so spectacular for Siena last season, 18 goals and 5 assists. They're going to want to see him play more of an active role in the offense in the second half.
Well, the post helps the Syracuse defense. And the first possession for Siena in this second half. Now we'll see what the Orange offense can do. Gillis guarded by Tokar. Still with possession, now a lob to Matt Lane. The Orange starting attack with Mariano, Evans, and Solomon. And now the first line midfield all on the offensive end with Bomberry, Lane, and Salcido. Brendan Bomberry already with 2 goals today, gives to Evans. Solomon in front, low pass, he couldn't corral it, and it's picked up by Tuhig. Here comes Siena in transition. Evans with the ride on Tuhig. Now to Voda. 3 minutes gone in this second half. The Orange defense pressuring. And Siena is able to successfully clear. The Saints have only been unsuccessful once today, and they just weren't able to, on that one, clear it into the box in time. This time they were able to. The Saints still have not scored. Here is Arcaris, already with 1 goal today. This one stoned away by Malloy. Evans falls to the turf, gives to Malloy, who rolls the pass to Bomberry. Andrew Helmer, the redshirt freshman, into the box for SU. Now here's Solomon. Mariano cradles, again guarded by Jack Tuhig, a sophomore from Westchester, Pennsylvania. The Syracuse offense has garnered 32 shots, scored on 11 of them. Mariano open, shot off the post, and Tuhig picks up the ground ball, triple teamed. Tuhig retains possession, now loses it to Bomberry. Ball still loose on the ground, and Ivano finally corralled by Gaderi, who throws it away. And here should be an over and back violation, and they call it offsides anyway. It couldn't be an over and back because they didn't clear it in the box, but offsides either way gives the ball to Syracuse.
And that last offensive possession from Syracuse, once again, Aaron Lewis stonewalling Syracuse in net. And the Orange has 11 goals. They've fared very well on the offensive end, but Lewis has had a great game. 13 saves, and he's made some really good ones throughout the contest. We saw one in the last possession against Mariano.
Shot wide, backed up by Nick Mariano. Syracuse with 33 shots compared to just 11 for Siena. The Orange has just as many goals as the Saints have shots, and that's not normally a formula for winning if you're the Saints.
Yeah, the Orange getting possessions, doing what they can with them, getting second chance opportunities off shots, and really just putting it on the net against Lewis.
Salcido's shot backed up by Trimboli.
Salcido once again misses, a little bit left. We saw that in the first half of play as well. He'll get that shot finder together as the season moves on. One of the best marksmen on the Syracuse team.
Mariano off the restart. Double team comes. Now the switch. Crossfield pass for Salcido hits the turf, but easily scooped up by the senior. 9.5 to play, third quarter. Syracuse in front by 8. Salcido works his way, shot wide. And possession given to Siena as Eric Munn, determined to be the closest player to the ball when it went over the sideline. Munn double team, loses possession to his teammate. Svek throws his hands in his air in disappointment that his team just hasn't been clean in this ball game. Syracuse defense currently stifling this Siena Saints offense. Why has Syracuse had so much success against Siena?
Well, they're just doing a good job of staying in front of the Siena offensive players and not letting them get open looks to Evan Malloy. And right now you see they're just squaring up, you know, toe-to-toe with the offensive players and making Siena try to take shots across or around defensive players. Right now Syracuse is doing a great job of stifling them and not finding open shots.
Turnover as the ball's picked up by Kevin Hutchings. Here he comes into the box, fakes a pass, keeps possession, behind for Evans. Up top, shot deflected. Out comes Lewis, and he picks it up for the Saints. Dangerous play as Evans steals it away. In front, Mariano with the easy layup. Might be the easiest goal that Nick Mariano's going to score all season. He has the hat trick, and SU's up by 9.
And Michael, we've seen Aaron Lewis be aggressive on ground balls throughout the contest. There tries to come out to pick that one up. Jordan Evans does a fantastic job scooping it away, and a great feed in front for Nick Mariano. Lewis has been successful coming out of net and picking up ground balls, but they're just a little bit too aggressive, and Syracuse capitalizes on the goal.
Syracuse's starting attack has combined for 9 goals. Throw Brad Voigt in there, and the 4 attackmen that have seen a majority of the minutes today have a combined 10 goals for the Orange. Brandon Bomberry, the only other scorer for SU, he has 2 goals, and it is a Syracuse team that can be balanced. There are certainly more players that can score than just those 5, as Siena wins this face-off in transition. Big hit. Ball comes loose, no flag, and here comes a flag late. Would have been a transition opportunity for Syracuse, as a massive hit will send the Saints on a man-up opportunity.
Michael, there Tyson Bomberry tries to lay the lumber, but gets a little bit too aggressive, goes up high, and Syracuse whistled for the penalty. You see it right here. On the attack, Bomberry comes up and just lays the lumber right there. That was against Tyler Pantalone. Once again, Bomberry trying to get physical, but maybe just a little bit too physical, Michael, as Siena goes on the man-up opportunity.
First man-up opportunity for Siena today. The Saints last year converted 34% of the time on EMOs, 13 for 38.
Michael, in this contest, Chris Robertson and Brian Prunty have been really quiet on the Siena side. Those were the top 2 goal scorers last season. So look to see if they can get involved here in the man-up opportunity.
Inside shot turned away by Malloy. Mike Riley had an opening, but he couldn't convert. And now here comes Syracuse with a clear attempt. Nicholas DiPietro helping clear it for the Orange as Solomon spins around and gives to Gillis. 20 seconds left on the man down for Syracuse, and the Orange in no hurry to attempt a shot. Seven to play, third quarter. SU with a 9-goal lead. Siena still has not scored since quarter number 1.
Syracuse penalty is now released.
Penalty release, both teams had even strength, so a solid job by the Syracuse defense to prevent a man-down goal. Evan Malloy picked up a save there. He has 5 saves for Syracuse today. Syracuse with a few subs into the game. Sam Romano being one of them. Evans catches, and he sticks it off the pass from Nick Mariano. Third assist for Mariano. It's the third goal for Jordan Evans, and a career-high 6 points for the senior has Syracuse up by 10.
And there, Jordan Evans does a great job roaming on the offensive end. He cuts inside, and once again, Syracuse gets an open look right in front of the net. Jordan Evans now 3 goals and 4 assists in this one. Nick Mariano with 6 points as well. Those two seniors have combined for 13 points in this contest. They're playing really well for the Orange right now, and those two again will be crucial for Syracuse down the stretch this season.
Syracuse has had some potent attacks in the past, but right now all 3 starters on this attack have just really taken it to a next level. And albeit, yes, it's Siena, but this isn't a bad Siena team. It's a team with experience, certainly defensively, as a flag flies. And now a few extracurricular activities going on between multiple people. Play has stopped, so we'll see exactly what the penalty is. Take a second look.
Yeah, you see right there Ben Williams off the face-off in a scrum with 3 Saints. Flag is thrown as you see some extracurriculars after the play. You see some frustration on the Siena side. Obviously, they know that coming into the Carrier Dome will be a daunting task in the first game of the season, but you still want to come out and compete with one of the top teams in the country, but it can be so difficult against the talent that Syracuse possesses on their team.
Syracuse leads the series 5-0. This is the 6th meeting between these two teams, and Syracuse is outscoring Siena coming into today 79-27. The official making the call as officially what the penalties are. Looks like there's going to be multiple penalties here. Austin Fusco is currently on a knee on the near side. So that's the one penalty on Syracuse. The other penalty on Mike Vitale for pushing.
Syracuse penalty to number 90, Austin Fusco. 1 minute for unnecessary roughness.
And unnecessary roughness on Austin Fusco. Both Jordan Evans and Nick Mariano came over to Fusco, and Austin Fusco is someone who played an integral role last year, 28 ground balls, 10 caused turnovers. He's a redshirt sophomore this year, so someone who's been around for a couple of years, and certainly someone who Syracuse is going to lean on as a long stick midi. Saints ball, even strength for 20 seconds. A little 5-on-5 action, then Siena's going to be a man up for 30 seconds.
And if you're Siena, Michael, you can't look up at the scoreboard. You just have to continue to play tenacious on offense. Try to find those open opportunities. Don't mind the fact that you're trailing in the game. Just try to get those open looks against Evan Malloy in net.
Man up for 20 more seconds. Pass up top, time and space, and the shot goes wide for Cousin.
If you're Siena, that's exactly what you want. You get Tim Cousin cutting in front, gets an open look, not able to capitalize, but you'll take that every day if you're John Sven.
Here's Prunty as the Saints have 3 seconds left on the man up. Penalty release. See what the Saints can do in somewhat of an unsettled situation, and can't do much as the Syracuse defense holds on the Siena man up. Still Saints ball. Quick one-timer saved by Malloy, and Saints keep possession, but a nice save by Malloy. That's his 6th.
And that's a great pass there by John Michael Tokar, getting it down low to try to let Chris Robertson capitalized, but he puts it up over a bunch of Syracuse defenders. We've seen Tokar make a couple of nice plays throughout the game for the Saints.
4.5 to play, third quarter. Gillis defending Tokar. The senior works around pressure. Flag comes out as the shot goes wide. It doesn't go out of bounds, so a free possession here for Siena. The Orange becoming a little bit undisciplined here in quarter number 3. Tokar spins around pressure, shot off the post. And out of bounds. That'll bring the man up for the Saints for the second straight possession.
Once again, Tokar there with a nifty move, spins around a defender, gets an open shot at the net, but Evan Malloy with great positioning there, not allowing Tokar to get any space. He tries to squeeze it inside the left of Evan Malloy, but not able to. But still a really nifty, tough play by John Michael Tokar. Again, we've seen him be a playmaker here for the Saints throughout these 3 quarters.
Less than 4 to play in the third quarter. Syracuse with the 10-goal lead over Siena. The Saints still with just 15 shots. Syracuse with 37. Mike Riley with 7 on the EMO. Time and space. Prunty's shot hits the back of the net. That ends the scoring drought for the Saints that lasted more than 30 minutes. And Siena has its 4th goal of the game.
Right there, Prunty finally getting in on the action. He was a player that was such a pivotal player for Siena last season. 18 goals and 5 assists. Second team All-MAC last year. Finally stepping up there, getting an open look. And you see what he can do when he gets open opportunities. Evan Malloy one-on-one, just not able to get over there in time. But a great play by Prunty on the offensive end.
Now Syracuse still leads by 9. 3.5 to play in the third quarter. Williams jousting at the face-off X. Ball still loose. And it's picked up by Joe Arcaris for the Saints. So an area that Syracuse dominated in the second quarter, and for a majority of this game, the Saints now won a couple here in the second half.
A lot of that has to do with Joe Arcaris. Already 5 ground balls in the contest. He also scored a goal, which matches his total from all of last season. But Arcaris has been all over the field. Again, 5 ground balls, playing, a major role here for the Saints early on.
Syracuse defense has spent plenty of time on the field having to work against this Siena Saints offense for really the entire second part of this third quarter. Credit a couple of Syracuse penalties for forcing that. How quickly things changed. Syracuse was about to be on a man up when Austin Fusco was called for a penalty himself that gave Siena the ball and what ended up being a man up situation. The Saints didn't take advantage of that penalty, but were able to take advantage of a subsequent penalty. One-timer stuffed away by Malloy. And Evan Malloy is down to the turf behind the play. That shot got him right in the stomach. Maybe in the hand as well, as he is still down and Syracuse is on offense. Looks like, well, a whistle's been blown. The official's timeout as Evan Malloy is walking over to the Syracuse sideline. So Syracuse is going to put a goalie in. Let's exactly see what happened. And looks like Malloy might have just taken that one off the wrist.
Yeah, right there, Evan Malloy with a great save, but that's sometimes what happens when you play in net in lacrosse. You take one on the hands. For a player that's as crucial to his team as Evan Malloy is, the team would hope it's just a stinger. But again, crouching over in pain there on the sideline, someone that played such a pivotal role for Syracuse last season. Again, he made 9 starts and the Orange won 7 of them. So somebody that'll be a centerpiece if Syracuse wants to have success down the stretch in the 2017 campaign.
Dom Madonna is the goalie that's replacing Malloy as Mariano gives to Lane. Syracuse with possession, leading by 9. The Orange on a 5-minute scoring drought. which has been a long drought for this team, considering that the Oranges put up 13 goals. Solomon has 4 of those. Lane to Salcido. Serge has 3 assists, but no goals. Salcido scored a goal in 7 straight games to end last year. Looking to continue that streak into this year. He's been more of a distributor, though, as Lane tries to back his way in towards the net, turned away by Vitali. Less than a minute to play, third period. Stall warning on, so shot clock on. Bomberry with space, and he makes the Saints pay. It's a hat trick for Brandon Bomberry, making his debut in a Syracuse uniform. And the Oranges back up by 10.
Once again there, Michael, Brandon Bomberry does a great job of moving in the offensive zone without the ball, gets some open space, a great feed inside, and Bomberry, a fantastic finisher once he gets the ball with open opportunities. A hat trick already in his first game, the transfer from Denver.
5 different scores for Syracuse. 4 of them have at least a hat trick. Evans, Mariano, Bomberry with 3 goals. Solomon has 4, and Brad Voigt has the other goal for SU. Ben Williams is 13 for 19 at the faceoff X. Pantalone there for the Saints, and Siena wins this faceoff. 40 seconds for the Saints to work with. Double team comes. Looking to avoid pressure, Dan McAvoy gets rid of it. Robertson guarded by Scott Furman. 20 seconds left for the Saints. Munn scored the first goal of the game for the Saints. He has it now. And a loose ball as McAvoy couldn't reel it in. 3 seconds for the Orange. Up ahead, and a pass or shot goes just wide, and Lewis reels it in for Siena. Syracuse has 5 different goal scorers that have combined for 14 goals. The Orange leads by 10 as we move to the final quarter of play on ACC Network Extra.
It isn't always easy to know where you stand financially. Multiple accounts, investments, insurance. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you see your whole picture, find out what you truly want, and we design a plan to go get it. We help you live life differently.
Scott? Did you possibly switch chairs with me?
No, not me.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Good luck finding your chair, LeBron.
Okay. Okay.
Poquito más rápido, ¿no? Beautiful bike. That's beautiful.
Carlos, Dr. Brad needs to see you in room 3.
Not again. I didn't know you guys were watching last night. Thank you guys. Means a lot. Thank you.
What are you talking about, stuff?
I had that 27-10 last night, and today, chicken curry. 54 points last week, and the next day, curry stew.
Yeah, but stuff, I don't think
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Means a lot. I lace them up every night for guys like you.
Who was that guy? I don't know. Seems like the chicken, though.
Syracuse has 5 different goal scorers as part of a 10-goal lead, and the newcomer, Brendan Bomberry, transferred from Denver, and he has made his own highlight reel in Game 1.
Yeah, we saw that first goal that he had when he picks it up off the rebound and shoots it behind his back. Did a fantastic job there. And he just does such a great job of moving without the ball, finding those soft spots in opposing defenses. It's one of the reasons why he's so great on man-up opportunities. Again, last season, led the nation in scoring goals in man-up opportunities, and you're seeing what he can do for Syracuse this season.
The Orange has won 14 of 21 face-offs, and Ben Williams wins the first of the 4th quarter. Syracuse out shooting Siena 41-18. Williams adds one more to both the shot and goal column. 6 different goal scores today for Syracuse, and Williams has his first of the season.
How about Ben Williams? We all know what he can do at the face-off X, but here gets the ball, comes inside, takes a great shot one-on-one, and capitalizes for Syracuse. Williams so great in the face-off X, but they're making it happen on offense and giving Syracuse its 15th goal of the game.
Williams had 1 goal last year on 10 shots, and here he came away with the face-off win. No one picked him up. He said, why not? I'm going to take one more. Largest lead of the game for Syracuse. It took just 12 seconds for Williams to get the Orange on the board here in quarter number 4. Syracuse outscored Siena 3-1 in the 3rd quarter. In fact, the Orange held the Saints scoreless between the end of the 1st quarter and the entire 2nd quarter, and then almost the entire 3rd quarter. A combined 30 minutes between goals for the Saints as Luke Schwazdik picks up the ground ball for Syracuse.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of different contributions in this game from the Syracuse side. Jordan Evans and Nick Mariano each with 7 points apiece. And earlier this week, Jordan Evans was talking about the role that he'll play in his senior season. He talks about how this year each of the seniors will play these games like each of those games are their last games. You see how Evans is capitalizing in this one as a senior, Mariano as well, and those 2 players as seniors will play critical roles here for Syracuse. And Evans again trying to step up into that Dylan Donahue role from last season.
Donahue last year had 4 goals, 5 assists. Evans, 3 goals, 4 assists against Siena in the season opener here in 2017. First line attack in midfield in for the Orange to begin this 4th quarter. Evans works around Ryan Gaderi. Solomon cut, but not enough room for Evans to fit the pass in. Here's the speedy Salcido behind the back pass to Brendan Bomberry. No opportunity at a goal. That's the 2nd behind the back flip we've seen. One was a Brendan Bomberry goal, and the most recent just a pass.
And Sergio Salcido has such athleticism, so quick, and even there, while it didn't lead to a goal, you just see what he can do.
Solomon's shot bounces wide, and it's picked up by Joe Arcaries. That's the senior's 5th ground ball pickup for the Saints. As the ball's loose on the far side, double team for the Orange. Bomberry and Solomon work the ball free. Evans thought about a shot, instead elects to run an offensive set.
Once again, we see Jordan Evans playing with more patience than we did last season. Right there, last season, maybe he lets that one fly, but instead pulls it back and recontrols possession.
Save made by Lewis. He's been stout in goal. Yes, he's allowed Syracuse to score 14 of the 15 goals. The other was given up by Gage Poncetti, but ultimately, as far as a goalie goes, Lewis has 14 saves, so 50% isn't exactly the ideal save percentage, but still 50% against this Syracuse team that's gotten off 43 shots isn't half bad for Lewis, who's making his 2nd start over the last 2 years.
Right, he's got a lot of work in this game, 43 shots, you mentioned it. And while he hasn't stopped everything, he's done a fairly good job of making some big stops in net against a vaunted Syracuse offense.
Syracuse forces the turnover on the defensive end as the Orange leads Siena 15-4. And after the 1st quarter, you thought, well, maybe Siena would be able to put something together as far as scoring goes. But this is a Siena team that hasn't scored more than 7 goals against Syracuse in any of the 5 meetings that these two teams had, and you thought maybe this is the year they get past that 7-goal mark that they got back in 2014 and 2015. But right now the Syracuse defense is held solid, and Siena still has a shot to get to that mark, but the way the Syracuse defense is playing and the way the Syracuse offense is controlling possession doesn't look too hopeful right now.
Early in the first quarter, they were hanging with Syracuse. They were doing a good job of being physical with them on defense, but Syracuse can be so overwhelming on the attack, and that's what we've seen since that point.
Trimboli shot wide, backed up by Syracuse. Jamie Trimboli, a freshman from Victor, New York. And Siena calls timeout as John Speck wants to talk it over with his team with just more than 11 minutes left. So Speck, the defensive coach, going to talk it over with his defense. And it's allowed Syracuse to get 15 goals. It's an 11-goal lead for the Orange with 11 to play here in the fourth.
It isn't always easy to know where you stand financially. Multiple accounts, investments, insurance. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you see your whole picture, find out what you truly want, and we design a plan to go get it. We help you live life differently.
Oh, Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Did you possibly switch chairs with me?
No, not me.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Good luck finding your chair, LeBron.
Okay. Okay.
Spurs, Knicks, tomorrow on ABC.
Anthony Davis is one of the top blockers in the NBA, so he was a perfect fit for the IT department.
Anthony, it's just my blog.
Is your blog business related?
No.
There you go.
Can't stop me from using my phone.
Nothing gets past that guy.
I can still play solitaire.
No, you can't.
Well, last year, Siena allowed double-digit goals in 11 of the 13 games that they played in. They won just 1 of those games, lost the other 10 en route to a 3-10 record. This is a Saints team that returned a lot of pieces from last year, and even head coach John Desko for Syracuse said that this Siena team is much improved, but Syracuse has also reloaded, and as we've seen today, the Oranges certainly plenty of offensive weapons, as Trimboli's shot saved by Aaron Lewis. That's Lewis's 14th save.
You mentioned some of the new players coming to the Syracuse program. Right there, we see Jamie Trimboli rip a shot. He was the 12th ranked recruit in the nation. We haven't heard his name too much in this broadcast, but checking in, he's somebody that may not play a pivotal role this season, but down in his next 3 years in his sophomore, junior, and senior campaign will play a pivotal role here for the Orange, a fantastic athlete for Syracuse.
10.5 to play in this one. The Orange up by 11. Open shot is wide for Munn. He scored the first goal of the game for the Saints, but hasn't gotten in the scoring sheet since. Robertson off the restart. He doesn't have a goal or an assist. Robertson led Siena last year in both goals and assists, but the Syracuse defense has done a fantastic job on Robertson today.
They've really boxed him in and not allowed him to get open space on the attack against somebody that was so effective for the Saints team last season, but Syracuse just boxing him in and not letting him get that open space that he's accustomed to.
Dom Madonna still in goal for Syracuse after Evan Malloy left after taking a shot off his hand or wrist area. Looked like the right hand. Part of it is, yes, give Malloy a rest, but it's also an 11-goal game. You would have expected John Desko to probably switch up the goalkeeper at some point soon when that injury happened, as Syracuse gets the turnover. A couple of shots that possession for the Saints, but really none that were too threatening for Madonna in net.
You mentioned that Evan Malloy might have been pulled either way with the way this game was going. But the question now is, will he be good to go, obviously, next week or the weeks to come as Syracuse heads into the meat of their schedule? Is that going to linger at all? He came to the sideline, looked a little bit, in pain, bending over a little. We haven't seen much from him since on the sideline. So the question will be if he can just recover from this one. Maybe it was a stinger, or will this be a lasting issue for the goaltender?
Looks like it's the end of the day for a few Syracuse players, as the Orange and John Desko getting a couple of the younger, less experienced players into the game. And it's a good opportunity because, guys like Nate Solomon this year were in a similar position last year, shot wide for Sam Romano, a redshirt freshman from Dallas, Texas. Shot bounces wide as well. Lewis still in net for the Saints, and this battle is won by Siena's Joe Arcaris. He's been all over the field, and one of the many reasons that he was named by the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference coaches to their preseason conference team.
You mentioned it. He's been all over the place for this Siena team, picking up 6 ground balls in the contest, and also doing a great job of playing tight defensively against some of these Syracuse attackers. And we also saw Arcaris score a goal, so he really has been all over the field for this Saints team.
8 minutes to play as Syracuse appears to be on its way to its first win of the season and 6th win in a row over Siena. Two teams have played 5 times before this one, and the margin of victory for Syracuse has been at least 6 each time. 10-4 and 11-4 were the 2 closest meetings, and those were both the first 2 times that these 2 teams played back in 2009 and 2011.
If you're Siena, again, you can't look at the scoreboard and have that be your only takeaway.
Madonna saves the shot here. Off the rebound, another save. Back-to-back saves for Dom Madonna, the senior from Liverpool.
Going back to that point, if you're Siena, you can't look at the scoreboard and say, oh, we're getting beat in the Carrier Dome. You have to take this as a building block for the rest of your season. And again, you'd want to come out here and compete maybe a little bit better against this Syracuse team, but it's a Siena team that's building, trying to come off a season where they went 3-10, and just squarely looking at the performance today shouldn't be their only takeaway. You have to look at some of the positives, and one of those being Joe Arcaris.
See what the Syracuse offense can do with some of these subs. Pat Carlin is part of the second line midfield in with Ryan Simmons. Pass in front, bouncer goes wide. Peter Dirth had an opportunity, but it's backed up by Devin Schul. Schul works his way in front. Flip pass hits the turf and picked up by Gaderi. So another defensive stop for Siena. Schul played a part last year in 10 games, scored 7 goals. One of a mix of players that were competing for the final spot on the Syracuse attack, as this pass is picked up by Chavez. Syracuse with an opportunity and a goal. Schul with the flip to Steven Rufus, and the Orange is up by 12.
Great touch passing there from Syracuse as Rufus gets open off the turnover. Great feed inside, and he fits it up into the top right corner of the cage. Once again, Syracuse showcasing what they can do when they get out in open space. A great way to transition off the turnover and turn it into points.
Syracuse turning defense into offense as the Orange has caused 7 turnovers. Syracuse with 16 goals. And that Orange offense has certainly broken out and hasn't missed a beat in game number 1. Ben Williams' afternoon is done. Syracuse loses this faceoff. Dan Varello, a freshman midfielder from Kings Park, New York. And the faceoff win for the Saints also turns into a goal. 5th of the game for Siena. And it breaks nearly a quarter streak as the trail check just didn't work out, and the Saints were able to send it in with Dylan Pantalone.
Dylan Pantalone there doing it all himself, running inside, gets some contact, but able to hold on to the ball, and then just runs right up into the cage, puts a shot into the back of the net. Right there, although Syracuse is up by 11 goals, you know John Desko won't be happy with the lax defense on that play. Pantalone just runs straight up to the net, puts it into the back of the cage.
Pantalone, the 5th different score for the Saints, each with just 1 goal. Here's a procedure against Siena, so Syracuse wins the most recent faceoff. '17 faceoff wins for the Orange, 17 of 25 for SU. The Orange men looking to cap off a doubleheader win as the Syracuse women won earlier today. A busy day for Syracuse athletics, in which the men's basketball team was down in Pittsburgh. They did lose to the Panthers.
You mentioned the face-off numbers before against Syracuse on top in that category, 17-8. But if you're Siena, you have to look at the positives. Last year it was 20-7 in that category. So, you know, while you're still getting beat there, at least you've limited to a certain extent what Syracuse has done at the face-off X.
Low shot wide. Syracuse with the backup. Less than 5 to play. Syracuse with the 11-goal lead. Riley O'Sullivan, the player who took the shot, as Tyler Ford, the one on the backup. Romano loses his man, pass in front. No shot for O'Sullivan as the ball's still loose. A whistle. And Syracuse called for the violation.
The Orange don't score there, Michael, but again, you see what they've done so well all game long. Constantly, they'll have cutters come inside, and they cut backdoor behind the defenders, and then the great passes in front to allow open opportunities in front of the cage. That's what we've seen from Syracuse all afternoon.
Meanwhile, the Orange forces the turnover on the opposite end. Andrew Helmer picked up the loose ball. Out comes a flag, and Syracuse with a free possession as we approach 4 minutes remaining in this contest. Syracuse can continue to run time off the clock. Not that you need to stall up by 11. Only seen the shot clock come on once, and Syracuse scored off it. Low shot, and rolling it home, Stephen Rufus has 2 goals.
Once again, Rufus comes inside. Somebody that you wouldn't think would have 2 goals maybe entering this contest, but he is able to come off a screen there set, rolls around the cage, comes in front, and a good scoop shot underneath the legs of the goaltender Lewis. An athletic play made by Rufus, puts Syracuse on top by 12.
Syracuse is getting some help from its transfers. Rufus transferred in from Holy Cross. The Orange, of course, we already talked about Brendan Bomberry, who came from Denver. Last year, Syracuse had a pair of talented transfers in Nick Paroli and then Nick Mariano. Paroli had to deal with a couple of injuries throughout the year, but Mariano was able to put his stamp on last year's season and certainly this year's as well. Joe DeMarco taking this face-off for Syracuse against Siena's Tyler Pantalone, and the Orange wins this face-off.
There, Joe DeMarco, the 5'4" senior for the Syracuse team, showing some aggression and some heart on that face-off, and a good play from the experienced vet.
3.5 to play in this one. Matt Lane, Nick Mariano, Sergio Salcido. It's the first line midfield along with the majority of the first line attack. Bomberry rips his shot top shelf. (18-5), same score as last year, and Bomberry has 4 goals.
Once again there, Michael, Brendan Bomberry able to center himself in a great position to take a shot. That's what he's so great at. Gets an open opportunity. Another fantastic feed from Syracuse offensively, and then Bomberry capitalizes as he does so well. His 4th goal of the game, again in his first contest in a Syracuse uniform after transferring from Denver. We've seen some great things from him today in this contest.
It was Bomberry on the field with Nick Mariano, Jordan Evans, and Brad Voigt, with those 3 on attack. Matt Lane and Sergio Salcido into the game. So it was essentially the starters, just Brad Voigt in for Nate Solomon. Voigt has a goal today. He's the 4th attackman for Syracuse. As the Orange wins another face-off, race to the sideline to keep the ball in, and SU is able to. Nice job by Devin Schul to keep the ball from rolling out and keeping possession with the Orange with 3 minutes to play. Syracuse's next opponent, by the way, next week is Albany. That game will also be broadcast right here on ACC Network Extra. 3 p.m. start for that one between the Orange and the Great Danes, a rematch of last year's NCAA tournament first round. Syracuse and Albany play every year. The Orange won the regular season matchup fairly handily, and then the NCAA tournament matchup, Albany actually had the lead at the end of the first half. This shot bounces off the post. Schul rebounds the carom for the Orange, but next week's matchup certainly should be a good one, and not that Siena's not a test for Syracuse, but Albany will be a much better test.
Right, and Syracuse then can really showcase what, how they've developed in the off-season. They can then put some of those pieces into play against a top opponent. Again, Siena is a team that can be very successful in the MAC conference. It can be very troubling, though, sometimes when you face a team with so much talent as Syracuse had. So the game against Albany will be a good one and a good barometer to see where Syracuse stands in terms of some top competition.
Dirth's shot went wide, and Siena the closest to it when the ball rolled over the end line. The Saints have a matchup with a familiar foe that Syracuse plays every year, and that's Hobart, as the Saints turn this one over, and here comes Syracuse in transition. Extra pass, shot, and an easy goal for Rufus. Hat trick for the transfer.
Once again, Rufus capitalizing on open opportunities off the turnover. Gets the pass and does a fantastic job of ripping it into the top right corner of the cage, as we see here on the replay. Just centers himself on the right side of the cage, gets the pass, lets it fly, and once again Syracuse on the board. Rufus, a youngster with 3 goals in the opening game of the season, having a day here inside the Carrier Dome.
So this year's Syracuse team one-ups last year's team. 18-5 the final last year, 19-5 this year. Again, back to Siena as far as their future schedule goes. That game against Hobart's going to be in Victor, New York, a 2 p.m. game between the Saints and the Statesmen. Victor, the hometown of Jamie Trimboli, Syracuse's top-ranked recruit in this year's freshman class. Loose ball off the face-off. Syracuse has won 19 of 27. And a loose ball push gives possession to the Saints. .115 left here in the 4th quarter, as the Saints try and add one more goal to what has been a tough offensive effort for a Siena team that again brought back 4 of its 5 returning scorers, but the Syracuse defense and Evan Malloy ultimately just a little too strong for this Siena team. Timeout Siena. John Speck wants to draw something up for his team. And again, this just shows it's an opportunity for Speck to use it as a learning opportunity. Speck just wanted to get a sub into the game, it looks like. .19-5 the score. We'll wrap it up next.
It's not about us anymore. It's about a future.
The Walking
Dead returns tomorrow night at 9.
To achieve financial security, there are two halves to consider: protect and grow. Instead of focusing on insurance or investments alone, we bring them together into one whole picture. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently.
Syracuse leads 19-5 over Siena. Last minute of play after the Siena timeout. As the Saints trying to one-up their total from last year, where Siena lost 18-5 to Syracuse. Low shot, and the Saints do just that. Sixth goal of the game. This one comes from number 3, Keenan Cook. Cook, a sophomore, he's the 4th attackman on the Saints team, and the Ontario native has his first of the game. 6 different goal scorer for the Saints.
And there, John Speck draws that up in the timeout. Great play as Keenan Cook gets it on a pass, cuts inside one-on-one, and makes a great shot into the back of the net. John Speck drawing it up, and Siena capitalizing.
28 seconds left, possibly the last face-off here. 19-9, the advantage for Syracuse in face-offs. That's the 20th win for the Orange. Dan Varello's taken the last couple for Syracuse, and now the Orange can run the clock out. Seven different goal scorers for Syracuse. 5 of them score multiple goals, and the Orange opens up the 2017 season with a 19-6 win over Siena. Nate Solomon, Brendan Bomberry lead the way with 4 goals apiece. Jordan Evans, Nick Mariano, and Stephen Rufus with 3 goals each for Syracuse. Brad Voigt and Ben Williams, the other goal scorers for Syracuse. As the Orange opens up the season 1-0, Siena falls to 0-1.
Once again, these two teams meet in the first game of the season. It's always a good matchup, as Syracuse has a chance to work out some of the things that they've been working on in the offseason, and Siena gets a chance to open up against some top competition. Once again, Syracuse coming out on top, but we see what these two teams have to offer in this opening game.
That'll do it from the Carrier Dome. For Conor Green, I'm Michael Tricarico. Final score, Syracuse 19, Siena 6. You can watch this game in its entirety on WatchESPN.com. This has been a presentation of ESPN.